The old high school gym buzzed with chatter as former students gathered for their 10-year reunion. A group of once popular classmates huddled in a corner, snickering. One said loudly, "I can't wait to see how pathetic she still looks." They had invited her only to laugh at her, the girl they had once labeled most ugliest. Then the ground outside began to shake. A helicopter descended onto the school field, wind blasting through the windows. Every head turned. Every whisper stopped. She stepped out, and the bullies' smiles faded instantly. Before we begin, subscribe to our channel and comment where you are watching from, so we can bring more stories like these. By the time the email came, she'd already forgotten the school existed. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind that felt like it could slide into any other without anyone noticing. Soft jazz played low from a Bluetooth speaker on her kitchen counter. A half-finished cup of tea sat beside her laptop, steam long gone. On the wall above the dining table hung framed photos, ribbon cuttings, volunteers in matching shirts, smiling kids with brand new backpacks. Her life, her work, the proof that she'd made it out. On the screen, her inbox refreshed with a little ping. She barely glanced up at first. Probably another sponsorship inquiry, another school asking for workshops, another parent asking if the mentoring program had space for one more kid. Then she saw the subject line. Lincoln High School, 10-year reunion invitation. Her fingers froze on the keyboard. For a second, the whole room got quiet in a different way. The jazz faded into background noise. The clock on the wall seemed too loud. Her heart gave a small, annoyed, almost panicked thump. She clicked it before she could talk herself out of it. Dear alumni, we are excited to invite you to the 10-year reunion for the class of 20. Come reconnect, reminisce, and celebrate. She snorted softly. Celebrate, huh? Her name was there toward the bottom, in tiny font, one of hundreds on the "We hope to see" list. They hoped. They didn't know her at all. She leaned back in her chair, rubbing her thumb over the edge of the desk, jaw tightening as something old and sharp pressed against her chest. Lincoln High. She hadn't thought about the hallways in a long time. Not really. Not in this way. Not with all the detail that suddenly came rushing back like a bad movie she didn't remember agreeing to watch. She could smell it in her head before she could see it. That mix of cafeteria pizza, cheap perfume, floor cleaner that never quite covered the sweat and dust. She was 14 again, walking down the hall with her backpack hugged tight to her chest, trying to make herself smaller. A folded piece of paper slipped through the vents of her locker just as she opened it. Not an accident. Never an accident. She pretended not to see it at first, but it fell out onto the floor, landing face up. Big block letters in red marker. You don't belong here. Someone snickered behind her. She bent down, picked it up carefully, like it might explode, and folded it into an even smaller square. She didn't throw it away. For reasons she never understood, she slid it into the back pocket of her notebook. She bent down, picked it up carefully, like it might explode, and folded it into an even smaller square. She didn't throw it away. For reasons she never understood, she slid it into the back pocket of her notebook. By the end of freshman year, that notebook was thick with those little squares. Cruel notes, ugly drawings, jokes. The kind that weren't really jokes at all. Hey, there she is, a girl's voice had cooed once from behind her in the hallway. Hallway's a little crowded, isn't it? Yeah, hope the floor doesn't crack, another chimed in, fake sweet. Laughter. Alana kept walking. If you kept moving, sometimes they got bored and found someone else to bleed on. Sometimes. Other times they followed. She'd walk into class and feel eyes crawling up and down her like ants. Whisper, laugh, whisper. Did you see her shoes? Her hair is so much. She really sat in the front, like anybody cares what she says. Yearbook superlatives had been the worst. She remembered sitting in homeroom, the stack of glossy pages sliding down each row. Her fingers shook when she finally turned to the fun stuff section, the pages everyone else loved. Most likely to succeed, best hair, cutest couple. Then she saw it. Her picture, a zoomed-in shot from the side, mid-blink, mouth half open. Above it, in big bold font, most likely to eat the cafeteria out of business. The room had erupted. She'd gripped the edge of the desk so hard her nails left little half-moon dents in the wood. "Lighten up, it's funny," someone had called across the room. The teacher had cleared his throat, flipped a page, pretended not to see. That was the part she remembered most from those years. Not just the bullying itself, but the way grown adults seemed blind whenever kindness cost them effort. Lunchtime was always the same too. One tray, one table, just her. The cafeteria swelled with noise, but none of it belonged to her. She'd sit with her journal propped open, pretending to be too busy writing to notice the empty seats around her. Sometimes a grape or a fry would fly across the room and land near her plate. "Oops, my bad." Sometimes a phone would flash and someone would giggle. "Look at how she hunches. Save that." She'd used to pray, quietly, silently, that just one person would stop, sit down, say hi without a smirk. No one did. Not then. Back in her apartment kitchen, 10 years and a whole lifetime away, Alana realized her hand was gripping the mouse so hard her knuckles were white. She exhaled and forced herself to relax. "Breathe," she muttered softly. "It's just an email." Except it wasn't. Not really. It was a ghost with a subject line. She pushed her chair back, stood up, and walked to the sink, filled a glass with water, took a slow sip. Present day. Look around. ... The small apartment was clean, bright, calm. A plant she'd kept alive for almost 3 years sat in the windowsill, leaves glossy. There were books on her shelves now. Books she'd chosen, not ones assigned to her. Certificates framed on the wall that no one else could take credit for. Founder and director, Rising Voices Coalition. That was hers. The same girl who'd once cried in a bathroom stall because someone had scrawled "whale" on the mirror behind her in lipstick, now had an office with her name on the door. She smiled a little at that, despite the nausea curling in her stomach. She walked back to the laptop. The email still waited patiently on the screen, like it knew it had time on its side. Her cursor hovered over the little trash can icon. She could delete it. Just like they were already lining up in her head with their hands raised. They don't deserve to see you. You don't owe them closure. They'll never change. You survived. That's enough. She closed her eyes and exhaled. Behind her eyelids, another flashback flickered. Not from high school this time, but a few years after. She was 19, working 2 jobs and trying to forget, when she'd seen a girl at a bus stop get cornered by a group of kids. The same tone, the same laughter, the same just kidding cruelty. Alana hadn't walked past. She'd stepped in. "Hey," she'd said, voice steady but warm, "come sit by me." The girl's eyes had filled with tears of pure relief. Later that night, Alana had looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Same eyes, same scars, same memories, and realized something. If she didn't turn all that pain into purpose, It was going to eat her alive, so she didn't. She turned it into something else. Support groups, mentorship programs, school visits, where she spoke softly but firmly into microphones, telling kids they deserved better. She became the person she wished had existed for her. And yet, even with all that growth, even with all that healing, the thought of walking back into that gym made her stomach flip like she was 14 again. She opened her eyes. The laptop screen glowed back at her. Her thumb moved away from the delete icon. She scrolled to the bottom of the email. There was a pale blue button. Confirm attendance. Her reflection stared back at her in the dark glass of the screen. Older, steadier, smarter, whole. The old her would have deleted it and never looked back. The new her? She still wasn't sure. She thought about the cruel notes, the whispered insults in the hallways, the yearbook page that made her stop eating lunch for a week, teachers who were too busy to notice, the way she'd wish she could disappear. Then she thought about something else. The kids in her programs now, who'd sit in plastic folding chairs and listen to her tell her story, eyes wide and shining. The way they'd lean in when she said, "You won't always feel this small." The way their shoulders dropped when they believed her. Her hand hovered over the mouse. Her heart whispered something she didn't expect. This time, I'm not that girl anymore. She felt a rush of something that wasn't fear. It was anger, but softer. Sadness, but stronger. Something like resolve. She clicked on the confirm attendance button before her brain could argue. A loading circle spun. Then, "Thank you. Your RSVP has been recorded. We can't wait to see you, Alana." She exhaled slowly, the smallest smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. "We'll see about that," she murmured. Her phone buzzed on the table. A text from Evan, her operations director, part-time chaos manager, full-time friend. "You good? You went quiet." She replied, "Got a reunion invite." Said yes. The dots appeared immediately. "Oh, that school?" She answered, "Yeah, that one. A beat." "You sure?" She stared at the screen for a second, then typed, "I'm done hiding." Her fingers hovered. She added one more line. "This time, they're gonna see who I really became." She set the phone down, her mind already turning. Outfits, travel, arrangements. If they were expecting the quiet girl who hunched over her tray in the corner of the cafeteria, they were going to be very, very surprised. She walked to the window and looked out over the city. Kids were walking home from school in clumps and pairs. Backpacks bouncing, some laughing, some quiet, some no doubt carrying notes and whispers inside them like hidden bruises. She thought of all the times she'd left those hallways feeling like a walking target. Not this time. This time, she was walking in on her own terms. No sneaking, no shrinking, no apologizing for existing. She watched a plane crawl across the sky, a silver streak cutting through the blue, and her lips curled in a private, knowing smile. They'd called her every name in the book. Fat, ugly, weird, too dark, too loud when she laughed, too much, and somehow never enough. But the one thing they never called her, powerful, that was about to change. She turned away from the window, grabbed her notebook from the table, and flipped it open. On a blank page, she wrote 3 words in neat, steady handwriting. No more hiding. She underlined it once. Then just beneath it, almost as an afterthought, she scribbled, "Let's make an entrance." She didn't know exactly how yet, but she knew one thing. She wasn't walking back into that building like a ghost. She was coming back like a storm. And this time, she wasn't the one who needed to be afraid. She didn't expect it to start so fast. The morning after she RSVP'd, she woke up to her phone buzzing with that familiar swarm of notifications, the kind she usually ignored, except this time her instincts told her to look. The first one was a tag on social media, then another, and another. She rubbed her eyes, sat up in bed, and opened the first post. It was a screenshot of the reunion guest list, her name circled in bright red marker. Ashley Roberts. Oh Lord, she's actually coming? Hope she still fits through the doors. The comments piled underneath like ants on drop sugar. Bruh, stop. Can't wait to see the glow down. Yo, someone record her reaction when she sees us. She used to breathe heavy walking up the steps, bro. She stared at the screen, the familiar tightness creeping up her throat, the same tightness she used to feel at 14 when she pretended not to hear. Old wounds cracked open like they'd never healed. She closed the app, but that didn't stop the messages. Her notifications kept coming, so she turned on Do Not Disturb and tossed the phone onto the bed, exhaling slowly. Don't spiral, she told herself. Not today. She went to make breakfast. Chopped fruit, coffee, light music, normal things, grounding things. But the quiet only made her thoughts louder. She sat at the counter with her bowl and opened her laptop instead. Email felt safer than social media. Until she saw another message. A private DM this time. Ashley R. Hey girl, we haven't talked in forever. Can't wait to see you. Hope you're doing amazing. Fake sweetness. Sugar-coated poison. The kind she'd swallowed for years. Another one came in right after. Miranda S. Oh my God, hi! Are you really coming? That's so brave of you. I'd be terrified. Alana rolled her eyes so hard it almost hurt. She didn't reply. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. But the worst wasn't the private messages. It was the poll. She saw it because someone anonymously forwarded it to her email. Maybe out of guilt, maybe out of pity. The subject line read, Thought you should see this. Her hands trembled slightly as she clicked the link. A public poll on an old classmate's story. What do you think she's showing up as? Options: glow up, glow down, same old mess, not showing up, scared. The percentage next to not showing up, scared, was almost 60%. Someone commented underneath, someone record if she cries. Another, if she walks in wearing those cheap wedges again, I'm hollering. A third, imagine she still drives that old crusty car. She slammed the laptop shut, hard, harder than she meant to. She pressed both palms to the counter and leaned forward, breathing, grounding herself before the past could drag her under again. Her therapist once told her, it's not weakness to remember. It's a sign you survived. She repeated that now, over and over. The clock ticked. Her heartbeat slowed. She forced her shoulders to relax. Finally, she whispered to the empty room, let them talk. I'm not that girl anymore. She wiped her eyes, not because she was crying. She wasn't, but because the pressure made her eyes sting. She straightened up and took one long breath. Then she reopened her laptop. Not to check comments, not to defend herself, to plan. Because that poll, those posts, those little daggers they thought would send her crawling back into the shadows, they'd done the exact opposite. Later that afternoon, she walked into her office, a cozy space filled with warm-toned lamps, bookshelves, and photos of smiling kids from her programs. Evan was already inside, typing away on his laptop with a smoothie in hand. He looked up when she entered. You good? He asked, studying her expression. She dropped her bag on the chair and sighed. They're already talking. He groaned. Let me guess, middle-aged adults acting like they're still 12? Pretty much. You want me to handle anything? She shook her head. No, I'm not giving them power. Evan leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. So, you still going? She smiled faintly. Oh, I'm definitely going. He raised an eyebrow. That's the face you make right before you do something dramatic. She grabbed a folder off her desk. Not dramatic, she said, flipping through papers. Just unexpected. Evan squinted playfully. You're not thinking of renting a limo, right? Because that's exactly the kind of petty I can get behind. She snorted. No. He gasped. Don't tell me. A Rolls Royce? She shook her head again, smirking. Warmer. He sat up. A Bentley? Colder. He blinked. Girl, what costs more than a Bentley? She slid a glossy brochure across the desk. Evan looked down and nearly choked. No way. She grinned. Why not? They're expecting the girl who cried in the bathroom stall. They're expecting the girl who walked with her head down. They're expecting the girl who didn't fight back. He flipped the brochure open, eyes wide in disbelief. You're gonna arrive in a helicopter? She shrugged casually, like she was discussing lunch plans. It's already donated to our foundation for special events. He slapped both hands over his mouth dramatically. Oh my God, this is gonna break the internet. She couldn't help laughing. For once, let them be shocked for the right reason. Evan pointed at her proudly. This is the energy you deserved 10 years ago. She sat down, her expression softening. I spent so many years trying to outrun who they said I was, she admitted quietly. But I'm done running. They don't get to define me anymore. Evan nodded, all joking aside now. They never did. She smiled, a real one, warm and bright, the kind she never smiled in high school. She looked at the brochure again. Transportation settled. Now, I need a dress. Oh, I'm already on it, Evan said, pulling up tabs on his screen. Elegant, powerful, tasteful revenge. She laughed. I don't want revenge. He tilted his head skeptically. She clarified. I want closure. Evan studied her face, then smiled gently. You're gonna get it. Later that night, she sat on her couch scrolling through old photos. Not the bullying ones, but the ones she kept for herself. The girl she used to be stared back. Round cheeks, sad eyes, a smile learned from practice, not joy. She traced the edge of the picture with her thumb. I'm doing this for you, she whispered. And she meant it. Not for the bullies, not to show off, not to get even. For the girl who sat alone. ... For the girl who hid behind notebooks. For the girl who never heard she was enough. She placed the photo on the coffee table and leaned back. Tomorrow she'd pick the dress. Next week, she'd finalize the helicopter. But tonight, she allowed herself to feel everything. The old pain, the new strength, and the quiet promise humming beneath it all. This time, she wasn't walking into a trap. She was walking into a reckoning, and she wouldn't be the one trembling. The night of the reunion arrived like a storm waiting behind a closed door. The school gym had been decorated with twinkling lights and cheap banners that read, "Welcome back, class of 20," in letters already peeling at the edges. A rented DJ played throwback songs from the years none of them had grown out of emotionally. Inside, the air buzzed with fake excitement, real gossip, and that familiar undertone of cruelty people pretended was just humor. Clusters formed instantly, little islands of old hierarchies. Ashley Roberts held court near the refreshment table, wearing a sparkling silver dress a size too small and confidence a size too big. Her blonde curls bounced as she laughed at her own jokes, drink in hand, nails freshly manicured. She wasn't talking about careers, or families, or travel. She was talking about her. Watch, Ashley whispered loudly to her friend Brianna, drinking from a plastic cup of punch. She's gonna sneak in late. I bet she looks exactly the same. Brianna giggled. Same hair, same clothes, same attitude. Ashley finished with a smirk. Like she thinks she's above everyone just because she was quiet. Across the room, a group of former football players chuckled over the reunion poll. Yo, did you see the comments? One snorted. People said she probably still drives that busted toaster. Another chimed in, hope the gym floor's reinforced. Their laughter boomed across the gym. Several classmates shifted uncomfortably, but none said anything. Old habits, after all. As the minutes passed, more people arrived. More chatter, more glances toward the door. Ashley tapped her foot impatiently. Where is she? She's scared. She ain't coming. Poll was right. She probably saw the comments and chickened out. A guy near the door checked his phone. Wait, someone just posted that she was spotted downtown. Ashley smirked. Probably trying to find something nice to wear at the last minute. More laughter swept through the gym. A teacher turned down the music slightly as yet another group entered. Cameras flashed. Alumni hugged dramatically. It was all one big performance. Nobody noticed the subtle shift outside. Not yet. Suddenly, a faint rumble trembled through the floor of the gym. Someone frowned. Yo, what was that? Another vibration. The ground lightly shook. The DJ paused the music. People stopped mid-conversation. Someone whispered, "An earthquake?" Then came the sound, a deep, thunderous roar, growing louder by the second. Heads swung toward the windows. Ashley squinted. What the? The sound grew louder and louder. The windows rattled. The banners shook. Someone pressed their face to the glass. Oh my God, they yelled. People rushed toward the windows, pushing and shouting. Outside, the football field glowed white under powerful lights, and lowering from the sky, slow, steady, confident, was a helicopter. A full-sized, sleek, matte black bird slicing the night air like it belonged there. Gasps echoed across the gym. No way! What the hell? Who is that for? That's not... It can't be! Ashley's face slowly drained of color. Her jaw dropped. Her fingers loosened around her drink. The helicopter touched down gracefully, sending a whirlwind of air across the field. Grass flattened. Dust swirled. Students shrieked with shock and excitement. Phone cameras exploded up like glitter in the night. People streamed out of the gym doors, stumbling over each other to get a closer look. Ashley followed, frozen in disbelief. The helicopter door opened. Out stepped a figure in a fitted black dress that hugged every curve with elegance and power. Her hair cascaded in sleek waves. The lights caught the soft shimmer of her makeup. Her heels hit the ground like punctuation marks. And her presence, calm, poised, unbothered, made the entire field go silent. Alana Reed, the girl they said wouldn't come, the girl they said would hide, the girl they said would break under pressure, the girl they used to laugh at. Except this was not the girl they remembered. This was a woman. People stared like they'd never seen her before, and in many ways, they hadn't. Someone whispered, "That's her?" Someone else breathed, She looks incredible." Ashley stumbled forward, shock tightening her throat. No. Alana didn't look at her, didn't look at any of them. Her steps were soft but firm. Her name filled the air like a chant. Who is she with? She's famous, right? She's gotta be. What does she do now? Someone whispered too loudly. She looks richer than all of us combined. Did you see the helicopter? Ashley tried to regain her footing, forcing a laugh. She's doing too much. This is ridiculous. But her voice was thin, brittle, barely standing. Next to her, Brianna murmured, "Girl, she looks like a CEO, or a celebrity, or royalty." Ashley turned to glare at them, but even they wouldn't meet her eyes, because the truth was undeniable. Alana didn't walk like the bullied girl they remembered. She walked like someone who had built herself from the rubble they left behind. When she reached the reunion entrance, a flash of movement approached her, not hostile, not mocking, just respectful. A man in a sleek gray suit with kind eyes and a quiet confidence of his own. Dr. Evan Clark, founder of a massive national nonprofit, one of the youngest to receive a presidential humanitarian medal. Accolades longer than a graduation program. He smiled warmly at her. "You didn't tell them," he said softly. She smiled back. They didn't need to know. Evan chuckled. "I think it's safe to say they know now." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ashley's legs actually buckled. "Evan Clark? Oh my God, that's him! He's worth millions! He runs that huge foundation! Why is he with her?" Ashley's head spun. Evan extended his arm. Alana looped hers through it easily. Together, they walked into the gym as if they owned the place. And in that moment, they did. As they crossed the threshold, Evan paused just enough to say loudly, loud enough for the whole gym to hear, "Oh, and by the way, great landing tonight." A man in a sleek gray suit with kind eyes and a quiet confidence of his own. Dr. Evan Clark, founder of a massive national nonprofit, one of the youngest to receive a presidential humanitarian medal. Accolades longer than a graduation program. He smiled warmly at her. "You didn't tell them," he said softly. She smiled back. They didn't need to know. Evan chuckled. "I think it's safe to say they know now." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ashley's legs actually buckled. "Evan Clark? Oh my God, that's him. He's worth millions. He runs that huge foundation. Why is he with her?" Ashley's head spun. Evan extended his arm. Alana looped hers through it effortlessly. Together, they walked into the gym as if they owned the place. And in that moment, they did. As they crossed the threshold, Evan paused just enough to say loudly, loud enough for the whole gym to hear, "Oh, and by the way, great landing tonight." But she felt the stares, the shock, the confusion, the regret from some, the envy from others. She'd felt eyes on her before, but never like this. Back then, they'd watched to see her break. Now, they watched to see how she'd stand. The DJ, still half frozen behind his booth, fumbled to put on a track. Something slow and soft leaked through the speakers, but nobody really listened. The music was background noise to the only real soundtrack in the room. The whispers. "That's really her? She looks so different. She glowed up." Not just glowed up, she leveled up. Ashley stood off to the side, chest tight, mind racing. Her plan, the casual cruelty, the whispered jokes, the side eyes, the funny comments, had depended on one thing. Alana walking in small. But this woman in front of her? There was nothing small about her. Not her presence, not her entrance, not the respect she brought with her. Evan scanned the crowd with a calm, practiced gaze. He'd been in rooms like this before. The kind full of polite smiles and private rot. He could spot the bullies without needing name tags. He leaned a little closer to Alana. "They're staring because they don't know who they're looking at anymore," he murmured. She smirked gently. "Good. Maybe that's the start. A man in a slightly rumpled suit approached. Reunion badge half crooked on his chest. Alana? Hi, I'm Mr. Dawson. I taught history. She recognized him. He'd been one of the few teachers who didn't look through her like she was air. Nice to see you, Mr. Dawson, she said, and meant it. He looked her up and down, not in a creepy way, but in total, stunned admiration. You look incredible, he said. How have you been? What are you doing now? Before she could answer, Evan stepped in with a small, respectful nod. She won't say it herself. She's annoyingly humble, so I'll do it. Mr. Dawson looked confused. I'm sorry, you are Evan Clark, he said, offering his hand. Dawson's eyes widened. As in, yes, Evan said, with a shrug, like it was nothing. Non-profit, community projects, all that fun stuff. A few nearby people turned instantly, eavesdropping harder. And Alana here, he continued, voice just loud enough to carry around them, is the reason half our programs even function the way they do. Alana's cheeks warmed. Evan. Nope, he cut in smoothly. You're not downplaying this. Not tonight. He turned more toward the crowd now, aware people were listening. Alana runs the Rising Voices Coalition, he said. Her organization rebuilt 3 community centers in the last 5 years. She's launched scholarship programs in 4 cities. Hundreds of kids have stayed in school because of her work. She won't say it herself. She's annoyingly humble. So I'll do it. Mr. Dawson looked confused. I'm sorry, you are? Evan Clark, he said, offering his hand. Dawson's eyes widened. As in, yes, Evan said, with a shrug, like it was nothing. Nonprofit, community projects, all that fun stuff. A few nearby people turned instantly, eavesdropping harder. And Alana here, he continued, voice just loud enough to carry around them, is the reason half our programs even function the way they do. Alana's cheeks warmed. Evan, nope, he cut in smoothly. You're not downplaying this. Not tonight. He turned more toward the crowd now, aware people were listening. Alana runs the Rising Voices Coalition, he said. Her organization rebuilt 3 community centers in the last 5 years. She's launched scholarship programs in 4 cities. Hundreds of kids have stayed in school because of her work. Thousands have gone through her anti-bullying and mental health workshops. The air shifted again. Somebody choked on their drink. Someone else muttered, "Wait, what?" Evan went on, proud and unhurried. She doesn't just talk about healing. She funds it. She builds spaces for it. She's partnered with us, with local governments, even with international groups now. Next week, he added casually, she's being honored as Humanitarian of the Year at our national gala. The words hung in the air like a bell. Humanitarian of the Year. All those years, all that cruelty, all that silence, and the girl they treated like a punchline was now being honored for saving other people from exactly what they'd done to her. Mr. Dawson's eyes glossed over. I had no idea, he said softly. Alana gave a gentle smile. Most people didn't, she said. I was very good at blending into the background. Ashley heard all of it, every word. That title, those stats, the impact. Her stomach twisted into knots. She remembered every note she'd written, every hallway she'd clogged with jokes, every fake apology she'd tossed like scraps. She told herself it wasn't that serious. But this made it serious. One of the former jocks whispered under his breath, "Damn, she really did something with her life." Another woman, chewing on her straw, frowned thoughtfully. I feel like we owe her an apology just for existing next to her right now. Alana felt the guilt pressing in from all sides. But guilt wasn't what she came for. She wasn't here to bask in their shame. She was here to stand in her own truth. Dr. Evan wasn't done yet. He turned slightly, addressing the small crowd that had formed within earshot. "You all probably saw that helicopter and thought she was showing off," he said lightly. "But she didn't pay for that ride to stunt on anyone." Ashley folded her arms tight, defensive. Evan smiled calmly. "The helicopter belongs to a donor who sponsors transportation for our programs and events. I invited her to arrive that way." A gasp. You invited her?" someone repeated. "Yes," he said simply. "Why?" a voice asked. Evan looked at Alana, not like she was broken, not like she was a charity case, but with open admiration. "Because she deserves to walk into spaces like this," he said. "Not through the side door, not with her head down, not as a joke. As someone honored, seen, respected." The gym felt heavier and lighter at the same time. He continued, "I've met CEOs who've done less with more privilege. I've met people with bigger platforms and smaller hearts. But her?" He nodded toward Alana. "She took what was done to her and turned it into safety for kids who'd never survive what she went through." Silence rippled outward. No comebacks. No snappy jokes, just the undeniable reality that they were witnessing someone who transcended the box they'd tried to lock her in. Ashley tried to laugh, a brittle, fake sound. "Well, I mean, it's not that deep," she muttered to Brianna. "We were kids. Everybody got teased. She's over it, clearly." Alana heard her. She always had good ears. She turned her head slowly and met Ashley's eyes across the room. No anger, no venom, just a calm that made Ashley more uncomfortable than any screamed curse would have. Evan followed Alana's gaze. He recognized Ashley instantly, not personally, but by the look on her face. He walked a few steps closer, his voice still mild but edged with truth. "I know some of you." He let that hang for a moment. But impact doesn't vanish just because someone was young when they caused it. Ashley's cheeks flushed. He didn't call her name. He didn't need to. "Some people never heal from those jokes," he continued. "Some people never make it out. The difference here," he gestured toward Alana, "is that she did. Not because of you, but in spite of you." A sharp inhale moved through the crowd like a wave. Alana shifted uncomfortably at the intensity. She hadn't come here to be glorified, but she couldn't deny the power of hearing the truth spoken out loud, in the very room that once held her silence hostage. Evan looked at her again, his voice softening. "You didn't mention the helicopter was donated to your foundation," he teased gently. "Or that you're about to be internationally recognized." She gave a sheepish little laugh. "Didn't think it was necessary." "But it is," he said, "because they need to understand the person they bullied grew into someone they should have been looking up to." The words landed with a thud in Ashley's chest. She suddenly felt very small in her glittering dress, very loud in her silence, very seen. And for the first time in her life, Ashley Roberts realized the girl she'd treated like nothing might be the most important person in the room. The storm didn't arrive with thunder. It arrived with notifications. Dings, buzzes, vibrations, like a digital earthquake rolling through the gym. One by one, heads turned downward as phones lit up. One by one, eyes widened. One by one, jaws dropped. A video was spreading, fast. Someone outside had filmed the helicopter landing. Someone else had captured Alana stepping out. Someone inside had streamed her entrance live. Now, those clips were exploding across every social platform, accompanied by captions like, "Bullied girl arrives at reunion like a CEO," Helicopter entrance shocks old classmates. They bullied her in school. Look at her now. Within minutes, comments poured in. She's stunning. Let her shine. Imagine being her bully right now. That school better beg forgiveness. The storm wasn't coming. It was here. Ashley's phone buzzed nonstop, her face flushing deeper with each new alert. "What the hell?" she whispered, scrolling fast. Her own earlier message, "Can't wait to see what she crawls in with," had been screenshot and reposted by multiple classmates. She gasped. "Who shared that?" she hissed. Brianna tapped her arm nervously. "Ash, it's going viral." Ashley's stomach twisted. Then someone said loudly, "Isn't that you who posted the poll mocking her?" Ashley's eyes shot up. Everyone was staring. No, it was a joke," she backpedaled. "We didn't mean it like that." Someone else chimed in, "Funny how jokes stop being funny when the world sees them." Even people who'd never defended Alana were roasting Ashley now, eager to distance themselves before drowning with her. Alana stood near a decorated table, quietly sipping water, watching the chaos swirl without stepping into it. Her posture, grace itself. Her breathing, steady. Her face, unbothered. Inside, yes, emotion churned. Old hurt, old fear, old instinct to run, but she kept her spine straight. She had survived worse storms than this. Storms that had no applause, no cameras, no validation. She had survived their silence. Now they were surviving hers. Ashley, panicked and sweating, marched straight toward Alana like she still owned the hallways of their old school. She forced a brittle smile. "Hey, girl," she said too loudly. "So that entrance was dramatic." No, it was a joke," she backpedaled. "We didn't mean it like that." Someone else chimed in, "Funny how jokes stop being funny when the world sees them." Even people who'd never defended Alana were roasting Ashley now, eager to distance themselves before drowning with her. Alana stood near a decorated table, quietly sipping water, watching the chaos swirl without stepping into it. Her posture, grace itself. Her breathing, steady. Her face, unbothered. Inside, yes, emotion churned. Old hurt, old fear, old instinct to run, but she kept her spine straight. She had survived worse storms than this. Storms that had no applause, no cameras, no validation. She had survived their silence. Now they were surviving hers. Ashley, panicked and sweating, marched straight toward Alana like she still owned the hallways of their old school. She forced a brittle smile. "Hey, girl," she said too loudly. "So, that entrance was dramatic. You really planned to show us up!" Exclamation point. A few classmates gasped. Alana looked at her with calm, steady eyes. "Hi, Ashley." Just the sound of her name, spoken without fear, made Ashley flinch. Ashley rolled her eyes, trying to regain her dominance. "Seriously, though, it feels a little desperate, you know? A helicopter at a reunion kind of screams insecurity or something." Before Alana could answer, a voice cut in sharply. "Or screams success, depending on how your life turned out." It was Evan. He stepped to Alana's side, posture relaxed, but presence sharp enough to slice through Ashley's facade. Ashley turned red. "Who even are you?" "Someone who respects her," he replied calmly. People murmured. She scowled. "Why does she need you to fight for her?" Ashley snapped. "Maybe she's still weak deep down." Alana spoke quietly. "I don't need anyone to fight for me." The softness of her voice somehow hit harder than yelling ever could. The softness of her voice somehow hit harder than yelling ever could. "I'm just not wasting energy on people who never learned kindness." Ashley froze. For the first time, she looked small. One of the former football players, Dan, stepped forward. "You know what, Ashley? You were awful to her, he said, voice shaking. We all saw it. We all laughed. And she still came here with more grace in her little finger than we ever had. Ashley blinked rapidly. Why are you talking? Because I'm tired of pretending, he said. We were cruel. Not kids, cruel. Others nodded. Small at first, then more, then the entire crowd. A wave of whispered agreement spread across the room. Ashley's bravado cracked. Whatever, she muttered. Y'all are dramatic. It wasn't that serious. But everyone saw her trembling hands. Then the gym doors burst open. A younger sibling of a former classmate ran in holding their phone. Oh my God, she shouted. You guys, the helicopter clip hit 3 million views already. The room exploded in noise. Ashley stumbled backward. What? No, she whispered. The sibling read aloud. This is how you walk back into a room full of people who underestimated you. She looks like a boss. Her bullies must be sick right now. Eyes swiveled toward Ashley. Her throat tightened. No, I didn't. You guys don't understand. But nobody rescued her. Her years of cruelty had left her with 0 allies. Evan gently placed a hand on Alana's shoulder. You okay? He asked softly. She nodded. I'm more okay than I expected. You don't have to respond to them, he said. Not verbally, your presence already answered. She gave him a grateful look. When I walked in, she admitted, I still felt like that scared little girl. Not anymore, he smiled. No, she whispered. Not anymore. Finally, Ashley snapped. She stomped toward the center of the room and shouted, This isn't fair! She's acting perfect! You all are acting like she's some hero, but she was annoying too, okay? She was weird and quiet and awkward. Silence. Even she realized how childish she sounded. Alana took a slow breath and stepped forward. Not aggressively, but with a gentleness that disarmed everyone. Ashley, she said softly, you hurt me. A lot. Ashley stiffened. I cried myself to sleep more nights than I can count because of words you thought were funny. Ashley's face reddened. But I grew, and I healed, and I forgave you long before tonight. The room held its breath. But this isn't about me, Alana continued. This is about the person you still choose to be. Ashley broke, full collapse. Tears she'd never expected. Sobs she tried to swallow. Why are you being nice? She cried. Why aren't you angry? Alana met her eyes, warm and steady. Because anger didn't save me, she said, but forgiveness did. And that was the moment the storm cracked open completely. A woman whispered through tears, She's incredible. A man muttered, We were such idiots. Another said, I hope she speaks tonight. I need to hear her story. People no longer stared at the helicopter girl. They stared at the healed girl, the unstoppable girl, the girl they couldn't break. The storm of whispers slowly settled into an aching quiet, the kind that didn't belong to a high school reunion, but to something sacred, something raw. Alana stood in the center of the gym, surrounded but not cornered, watched but not judged. The room felt suspended, like everyone was inhaling at the same time, and Ashley, red-eyed and trembling, stared at her with a mixture of fear, shame, and disbelief. The girl who once ruled hallways with cruelty now looked painfully human, stripped of the arrogance she hid behind. Her voice cracked like thin glass. Why are you being nice to me? She whispered. Why aren't you, I don't know, screaming at me, cursing me, making fun of me back? The desperation in her voice wasn't anger. It was confusion. It was guilt. It was years of unspoken truth clawing its way out. Alana took a slow breath, one that steadied her back in her body, one that grounded her in the present and pulled her out of those painful cafeteria memories. She glanced around the gym. The same banners hanging, the same creaking bleachers, the same echo she once feared. Only one thing had changed: her. She looked back at Ashley, voice steady but filled with emotion. "I'm not screaming," she said softly, "because that's the person I became after I survived, not the person I was when you broke me." A ripple of breath moved across the room. Alana continued, "You made me hate walking into school. Every day," she said. "You made me dread opening my locker. You made me feel like breathing too loud was a crime." Ashley's eyes filled again, chest heaving. "I didn't know you felt like that," she whispered. Alana gave a sad, small smile. "You didn't want to know." Silence. "You didn't care to know." Ashley collapsed onto a folding chair as tears streamed down her face. Her friends didn't move. No one comforted her, not because they hated her, but because everyone was being forced to face the truth they ignored for years. A tall guy in the back, Marcus, former football captain, looked suddenly sick. I laughed with them," he said quietly. "I didn't say anything to stop it. I thought it wasn't my business." Alana turned to him. "It wasn't just you," she said. "It was a lot of people." A girl from the cheer squad sniffled. We were so stupid. We thought hurting someone made us cooler, stronger?" "No," Alana said gently. "It made you afraid." Ashley lifted her head. "What do you mean?" she asked in a broken whisper. "People bully because they're scared," Alana said. "Scared of being ignored, scared of being powerless, scared of not fitting in, scared of being the one everyone else targets." Her voice softened. "You weren't strong, Ashley. You were scared, and hurting me gave you control." Ashley pressed her hand to her mouth as more tears spilled out. Not pretty tears, not sweet ones, but painful ones, real ones. Someone dimmed the gym lights. Someone turned off the music. Someone whispered, "Let her speak." And she did. I laughed with them," he said quietly. "I didn't say anything to stop it. I thought it wasn't my business." Alana turned to him. "It wasn't just you," she said. "It was a lot of people." A girl from the cheer squad sniffled. "We were so stupid. We thought hurting someone made us cooler, stronger?" "No," Alana said gently. "It made you afraid." Ashley lifted her head. "What do you mean?" she asked in a broken whisper. "People bully before—" She stepped toward the small stage. "The same stage they're scared," Alana said. "Scared of being ignored, scared of being powerless, scared of not fitting in, scared of being the one everyone else targets." Her voice softened. "You weren't strong, Ashley. You were scared, and hurting me gave you control." Ashley pressed her hand to her mouth as more tears spilled out. Not pretty tears, not sweet ones, but painful ones, real ones. Someone dimmed the gym lights. Someone turned off the music. Someone whispered, "Let her speak." And she did. She stepped toward the small stage, the same stage used for pep rallies she was never invited to, assemblies where she sat in back rows, invisible to everyone. But tonight, people leaned forward, phones were lowered, eyes were on her, for the first time, not out of mockery, but out of respect. She stood behind the microphone. Her hands trembled, just a little, but her voice didn't break. "I didn't come here to show off," she said softly. "The helicopter wasn't my idea. I didn't even want to come tonight." Her voice quivered with honesty. "I came because for years, this place convinced me that my voice didn't matter, that I didn't matter." The crowd held their breath. I thought, if I came back, maybe I could rewrite how it feels to stand in this room. A girl in the crowd wiped her eyes. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," Alana continued. "I'm not here to make anyone feel small. I'm not here for revenge. Her voice deepened with emotion. I'm here because a part of me never healed. A part of me still believed I wasn't enough. Ashley sobbed softly in the corner. Alana looked down at her hands, then back at the room. But tonight, she whispered, I realized something. She stepped away from the mic, placing her hand over her heart. I didn't come to rewrite the past. She took a breath. I came to claim the future. Ashley stood up suddenly, shaky as a newborn deer. She walked toward Alana, not with anger, but with surrender. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. I'm so sorry, she said, voice trembling, for everything, for all the years, for every comment, every joke, every time I hurt you. Tears streamed down her cheeks. You didn't deserve any of it, she choked. I was awful. I was jealous. I hated myself, and I took it out on you. The entire gym not a breath moved. Alana slowly approached her, not out of pity, but out of strength. She placed a gentle hand on Ashley's shoulder. I forgive you, she said, and the whole room felt the weight of those words. Ashley shook her head in disbelief, sobbing harder. But, Alana added softly, being sorry is only step one. Ashley swallowed hard and nodded. I know, she whispered. I'll be better. Alana gave a small, sad smile, the kind that holds both pain and peace. Good, she said softly. That's all I ever wanted. When Alana stepped back, the room erupted. Not in applause, because tonight wasn't about punishment. It was about truth and healing and reclaiming her spirit. The reunion gym no longer felt like a battlefield. The tension had lifted, replaced by something softer, uncertain, but undeniably human. The air felt lighter, warmer, as if the building itself exhaled for the first time in years. Alana stepped away from Ashley, wiping a tear she didn't even realize had escaped. Not from sadness, but from release. A release she had needed since she was 13 years old. People approached slowly, hesitant, as if walking towards something sacred. The first person to step forward was Marcus, the former football captain who once pretended she didn't exist. He rubbed the back of his neck, eyes down. I never said anything because I thought it wasn't my place. He swallowed hard. It was my place. I should have stood up. Alana nodded gently. Thank you for saying that. A girl named Brianna stepped next. I joined in the jokes because I was scared of being the joke, she whispered. I'm ashamed of it now. You were young, Alana said softly. Just don't be that person again. Brianna nodded, tears spilling as relief washed over her face. Then came more. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how bad it was. If I could go back, I'd pick a different side. You deserved better from all of us. She didn't offer forgiveness freely. She offered honesty. I can't undo what happened. But I see that you're trying, and that matters. And somehow, that simple truth comforted them more than any dramatic forgiveness speech. Ashley reappeared hours later, after washing her face in the bathroom. Her cheeks blotchy, mascara smudged, not picture-perfect humbled, but painfully real. She approached with her shoulders tense, as if expecting rejection. I'm not here to bother you again, she said quietly. I needed to say something else. Alana nodded for her to speak. Ashley looked at her hands, voice trembling. I've spent years pretending high school was just teen drama, she sniffed. But I knew deep down, I knew that what I did to you wasn't normal. Her voice cracked. It was cruel, it was ugly, and it haunts me. Ashley took a shaky breath. And hearing you say you forgave me, that broke something in me. In a good way, a necessary way. She looked up, eyes red but determined. I want to do better. I want to help. If there's anything your foundation needs, volunteers, events, fundraising, I'm in, completely. Alana didn't reply immediately. She studied Ashley carefully. Not the girl she used to be, but the woman standing here now, and she nodded. All right, Alana said softly. Then let's start there. Ashley exhaled sharply, relief mixed with gratitude. This time, she didn't hug or cry. She simply whispered, "Thank you," and stepped aside. As the crowd thinned, Evan Clark, the nonprofit founder who'd arrived with her, walked over with a quiet smile. You handled this with more grace than most people I know, he said. Alana smiled back. Thank you for being there. He pulled out his tablet and showed her a document. This, he said gently, is a partnership proposal. She blinked. A partnership? Yes, Evan said. International expansion. Your programs are powerful. They deserve a global platform. Her heart skipped. You want me? I want your voice, your story, your vision, he said. And your organization is exactly what the world needs right now. Alana felt tears gathering, this time not from pain, but from opportunity. You don't have to decide tonight, Evan added. But the world is bigger than this school, Alana, much bigger, and you're ready for it. She nodded slowly. Yes, she whispered. I think I am. As she walked toward the exit, people approached with sincerity, not desperation. If you need volunteers, count me in. My company does charity drives. We'd love to work with you. I want my kids to be part of your programs. You taught us something tonight. The same voices that once mocked her now spoke with admiration. Not because she arrived in a helicopter, not because she was successful, but because she stood in front of them and spoke truth without bitterness. They didn't see the girl they bullied. They saw the woman she became. The lights dimmed. The DJ packed up. Chairs clattered as the custodians began clearing the room. Alana stood by the exit, the soft night breeze drifting in from the open door. The gym, a place once filled with dread, now felt like a conquered kingdom. She wasn't running away. She wasn't shrinking. She had claimed this place with dignity. Evan approached her again. Ready to head out? He asked. She smiled. Yeah, she breathed. Let's go. They stepped outside, and the cool air felt like freedom against her skin. People gathered by the field, still in awe as the helicopter waited, illuminated by soft landing lights. Alana looked over the crowd one last time, not in triumph, but with peace. She survived. She healed. She rose. And tonight, everyone witnessed it. The helicopter blades hummed softly as they warmed up. A gentle vibration rippling across the field. The night sky stretched wide and quiet above, sprinkled with stars that felt almost symbolic, tiny lights shining through darkness. Alana stood beside the open door, the cool wind brushing against her dress, her curls lifting slightly in the breeze. She paused. For a moment, she just breathed. It was the kind of breath she had never allowed herself to take in high school. Back then, every inhale felt like preparation for a blow. Tonight, it felt like release. A full-body, soul-deep release. Evan climbed into the helicopter first, but didn't buckle in. He watched her with an encouraging, understanding smile. Take your time, he said gently. She nodded. Because she needed a second, not for the crowd, not for the cameras still rolling, but for the girl she used to be. She turned her gaze back toward the school building. The windows glowed with fading party lights. Shadows of classmates moved slowly inside. Tired, emotional, changed. And somewhere inside that old brick building was a cafeteria where she once cried, a hallway where she once shook, a locker where she once found notes meant to break her spirit. Now the only thing breaking tonight was the cycle. As Alana placed one foot onto the helicopter step, her voice washed over the scene, calm, steady, reflective. When they hurt me, I thought I'd stay small forever. A soft montage appeared in her mind. Her young self sitting alone with a cold tray of lunch. A teacher pretending not to hear. Sneakers tripping her in the hallway. Whispers that cut deeper than fists. Pain convinced me I was nothing. The image shifted. Her adult self studying late at night, working 2 jobs, volunteering at youth centers, founding her own program, helping kids who felt the same way she once did. For a long time, I believed their voices more than my own. She finally took her seat inside the helicopter, letting her fingers rest gently on the window. Outside, the reunion crowd watched in silence, not in fear, not in mockery, but in awe, and in the quiet sting of self-reflection. As the helicopter rose slowly off the ground, Alana looked down through the open door. The school shrank below her. The same place that once overwhelmed her now looked small, manageable, conquered. Her voice continued. But healing showed me something different. A beat, a breath. No insult, no rumor, no bully gets to decide who you become. Her eyes softened. They invited me tonight hoping to laugh at me, but I arrived to show them I survived. The helicopter lifted higher. The night breeze swept across her face like a blessing. Evan glanced over, noticing her quiet expression. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded with a peaceful smile. "More than okay," she whispered. "I'm free!" The helicopter banked gently, turning away from the school, slicing through the night sky, like a new path forming before her. She spoke once more, the final powerful line. You don't rise by proving people wrong. You rise by proving to yourself that their words were never the truth. And with that, the helicopter lifted into the stars, leaving behind the past, the pain, the bullies, and carrying a woman who learned to shine in the very place they tried.